I sense a feeling of disappointment that not everybody or not very many people were at Hallis Hall today.
Yeah, I mean, you have a new coordinator. You have a new staff on the defensive side of the football. You have a football team that has finished 8-8 in consecutive years. If you think that you can just sort of show up in training camp and get up to speed quickly and kind of just pick up where you left off on that 8-8 road last year, then more power to you. Go for it. I just feel like this football team has a lot to prove to a lot of people. In order to prove those things, you have to be razor sharp in this football league to have success on a regular and consistent basis, and missing out on reps with a new defense and a new coaching staff at this time of year isn't a major deal. I mean, it's June 2nd. It's a Wednesday practice of OTAs. It's not going to make or break your Super Bowl hopes, but you're certainly not getting any better, and you're certainly not getting further ahead with your understanding of this new defense that Sean Desai is trying to put in.
You know, football's weird, Dan. Like, there's the old Lombardi time thing, right, where like you would get fined if you didn't show up to the meeting early. You know, if you were on time for Lombardi, for Tom Coughlin then later, you would get fined. Like, but doesn't optional mean optional or no?
Yeah, it's optional. And you have the option on being great, or you have the option of being average, and choose your road, you know, and that's for a football team that hasn't won a playoff game in more than a decade. You would think that all the talk that they have about culture and unity and all the things that they want to achieve as a football team would push you onto the road of wanting to be great. And I understand guys are going to say, oh, well, we can go do our own thing wherever we want to be and get the same out of it. I don't believe that. I sense some disappointment internally from the coaching staff that they don't have the full group there. We're going to talk about Justin Fields at some point. I'm certain Justin Fields isn't able to throw passes to Allen Robinson right now. And, you know, his timing with Allen Robinson is not going to improve until he has a chance to work on his timing with Allen Robinson, right? Again, guys, this is 8-8 and a colossal 2-year stretch of disappointment for this entire city. Everybody felt it. Everybody has shouted into the airwaves. And just because they drafted Justin Fields, you know, 7 or 8 weeks ago, whatever it is now, doesn't mean that there's been some magic dust that has just been sprinkled in Lake Forest and they're going to show up in September and be a championship football team. There's a lot of work that goes into that. They better figure out a way to get it done.
I like that you're fired up. Do you think that Matt Nagy, who has to say the right things, is as fired up as you are?
I question why he has to say the right things. Why do you have to say the right things? If you guys are going to be an organization that stresses culture and tells everybody how great your culture is, then show it. Show what your culture is. Your culture is having everybody show up. You know, we've talked about this previously. I still don't understand what the resistance is on the players' end, and it's happening league-wide, obviously, to varying degrees. I just think that if you want to be a championship football team, you have to make championship football team decisions. This one isn't one of them. I would love to tell you more about what I saw at practice today. Another thing that I'm fired up about is we may as well have been on the Goodyear blimp today, guys. And again, it's an OTA practice in June, and it's a Wednesday afternoon, and it is whatever. But training camp is fast coming, and with a fully vaccinated media corps that is outside and masked, why we are basically put, you know, in Deerfield to watch practices from, you know, 250 yards away. I don't understand it. And I think we better be prepared for when training camp starts that we're going to have a very distant view of things, and our ability to tell you things is going to be reduced.
I don't want to sound like a cynic, because obviously they were following protocol, and I think you probably agree with this, Dan. They were following protocol for the right reasons, and the Bears and a lot of NFL teams did a brilliant job making sure that they could get through a season in a pandemic in a very difficult situation. The skeptic in me believes that because all these teams want to manage the message as closely and completely as possible, that they may be more reluctant to kind of ease some of those regulations to accomplish that goal. Is that being too cynical?
No, the skeptic in you is the skeptic in me. It's the skeptic in most of the members of the Chicago Bears media corps. It's present in media members across the league, feeling like that the pandemic has given teams the license to sort of give you the stiff arm and push you further and further away. It's going to be up to each individual organization to do what they want with that. We'll see where it heads. I think that we are going to fight, obviously, to try to get things back to normal, because there really aren't a lot of reasons that they shouldn't be back to normal here. And I mentioned the Bears sort of, progress. You guys have talked about this with the Cubs for the last couple months. We have no sort of update on what the vaccination progress is for this Bears team at this point. Jermaine Ifedi was just on the Zoom call with us and gave about a 3-minute answer talking about how beneficial the vaccine is, how the numbers show that it reduces illness and death, how he is a big proponent of what the league is saying in terms of everyone should get vaccinated. And then he punctuated his call by saying, I haven't been vaccinated yet, and I've got to do more research on whether I'm going to get vaccinated.
Really? Wow.
So when you talk about head scratchers today, there's been a bunch of them, and it just leaves me in the state of, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why are some of these simple things becoming so difficult to spin out of? And who knows? Like, what is the Bears' vaccination progress going to be when they report to training camp? Is this still going to be an issue? Is it going to be something that keeps them in Zoom meetings? Matt Nagy said today he's done with Zoom. I'm with Matt Nagy. I'm done with Zoom, too. Good. I'm tired of asking one question and being done for the day.
Not just that, man. Right? Not just that, Dan. I said this to Silvy earlier. You guys have kids. I mean, you've been through the process of kids trying to learn via Zoom. It was a good option during a time when it was necessary. Once that time has passed, I can guarantee you, whether you're an NFL football player as a rookie or you're a fourth grader, you're going to learn more in person than you are on a Zoom call. And I'm just telling you that this is a trickle down, Dan. This is something that has bothered the hell out of me for a long time. This is the players exercising their power in response to this 17th game. And it drives me crazy because you all are fighting for the wrong stuff. You're fighting for the wrong things. You just are. And you don't learn away from the building the way you do in the building. And that's what pisses me off in a lot of ways as a fan. Okay, I got that off my chest.